once you get the first overhang on, it goes from looking like a simple log cabin to it started to look like a blockhouse. Uh, and my friend Ryan, I got to keep giving him a shout out because he gifted me a whole bunch of 2-inch white oak planks. They're heavier than the bigger cedar logs. Like they're really rugged. So right now I've flattened these guys. I'm going to get in 4 floor joists across here, and the planks will run this way. And yeah, I'm on to the second story of a blockhouse. I think that's enough for one day. I'm losing my son. I got all my floor joists up there. Tomorrow I'll get them up. I'll get the plank floor on, and I'll actually have a flat surface to work on. Still haven't figured out how I'm going to hoist the logs up that high, but we figured it out so far. I figure something will come to me. Maybe when I sleep. starting to feel like a blockhouse. And I can't spend a whole day out here working without thinking a wee bit about history. So a little bit of history about the blockhouse itself. We think of it as sort of the iconic structure in the American colonies on the frontier. But in the 18th and 19th century in Canada, well over 200 of these were built. So maybe this is 201, not sure. So sometimes they were a standalone structure, generally 2 stories. The top story almost always overhung, but not necessarily. And sometimes there were even 3 stories. And they were called loopholes, which would be the shooting ports. So the purpose of the overhang, there were a number. In this case, this isn't a standalone, it's part of a fortified homestead. So my palisade walls are inside or equal to the outer wall of the lower story, which means that standing on this far corner, I have a clear sight down the full length of this wall that is over in this direction. You could put out fires if the enemy was trying to burn you out, which they frequently did. In terms of, I'm calling this Kelly Station, which typically a fortified homestead would have the individual's name first. So Kelly Station or Kelly's Fort, sort of like Prickett's Fort. That was Mr. Prickett there, he built that. And if it was a government sanctioned one, it would be Fort Pitt or Fort Henry or Fort William Henry, that sort of thing. Yeah, the word, the origins of the word, we're not really certain. It could be really old Dutch, a word called blocus. Not sure the translation there. 18th century French word, blocus, which means blockade, is probably closer to the mark. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see this top story come together. Haven't sorted out how I'm doing that. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of, because there are a lot of histories regarding these things. There's a lot of obscure histories. And one can only imagine the turmoil that went on inside these 4 walls when you were being attacked by every direction. Yeah, coming along. So one of the blockhouses that is lost to history and totally obscure, the remains are all gone, would be built by a fellow by the name of Adam Carnahan. And he built it in 1776 to defend both himself, his family, and the surrounding settlers. In 1777, it's attacked by a bunch of Wyandot Indians that are on the warpath. Adam's not home at the time. He's away tending a sick child, and his son John is killed in that attack at that blockhouse. And the next day, the child that John was tending dies. So they're both buried in a common grave very near where that blockhouse stood. In 1778, Adam enlists with the Pennsylvania militia in the American Revolution, and he stays for the duration of the war. And that particular blockhouse served an important role throughout that as a sort of a meeting place for different groups as they're making their way into different battles that took place. So yeah, a wee bit of history there. We also think that this type of structure was sort of 17th, 18th, maybe early 19th century and then gone. But it was built during the Second Boer War. The British, who were having so much difficulty with guerrilla warfare, they built 441 masonry blockhouses in South Africa. They were built in the First World War, they were built in the Second World War. The Germans built massive ones that worked both a dual purpose of being a bunker for air raids and a platform for anti-aircraft artillery. And there's still a few around today. There's the oldest one in Nova Scotia as an example. It was built in 1750, one of the oldest surviving structures in that province. Anyway, I'm going to get a few more boards up and I'm going to call it a day. I was hoping to get the whole floor on and get the first 2 logs up here, but that ain't happening today.